Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I know first video podcast, but this is very exciting. Um, super excited to have this guest on, and he's kind of been not in the shadows for most of you, but kind of in the shadows for some others. But the artwork that he puts out and everything that he does, especially on Twitter and social media, is absolutely incredible. And I'm super pumped to have him on. Kevin from KB Art.
Hey, how are we doing, Garrett?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Good. Very good. Excited to be on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to have you on. And this is truly very exciting for me. I'm really pumped, and I know everybody sort of knows you. If you don't know the name behind the art, I'm gonna give you the name. I'm gonna describe it. I don't know what you call it, but this is my description of it. It's Von Bell hitting the crap out of Juju Smith-Schuster in Duck Hunt, and
Yes.
it's awesome. And I don't know if you have a specific name for it.
Uh, there's many names. Corvette.
Mhm.
There's what is it? The when the bell rings loudly. There's a couple different names, but biggest thing is this the hit that changed Bengals fortunes, I think. So it made me excited and made me want to do something with it and make it into something fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a very fun piece. I'm not necessarily a super huge visual art guru, but I love art so much. And as soon as I saw the beginnings of it, I was like, I kind of need to pay attention to this. I want to see how this comes out. And then Bangalorian started talking about it and everything. And uh, it really just blew up way more than I think any of us expected in an amazing way. And it gave more props to you. It expanded your ability to go on. And I'm lucky enough to have you on my show. And so it is very exciting. But yeah, I want to talk about you. I'm sure the listeners know a lot about me and that I like to blabble, but I want to know about you. And I want the first question I have in mind really is, what made you paint this? I'm gonna say it's an amazing hit. I watch it on repeat every night. I go to sleep watching it. But I want to know how it inspired you into this incredible piece of artwork.
So with that hit immediately when it came out, I thought I need to be the first one at this. I need to. Sometimes you don't want to be late to the show, if you will. So I was finishing a separate painting and got that done that night. I was like, okay, that's done. Let's work on this. And there's a million things that go on sometimes in my head. It's like a beautiful mind kind of thing that kind of drives my wife probably nuts sometimes. But I was thinking, oh, how can I make this fun? How can I make this exciting? And I'm a child of the 80s. I'm dating myself now, but I grew up playing Nintendo, and I was like, how can I make this fun? How can I make this something different that everybody would enjoy? And immediately I was like, Duck Hunt. And I was like, I can do that. I can. The megapixels are the hard of like on that bad of a graphic, but so I immediately thought of how I wanted to do it. I wanted to make sure that I had the dog with the duck in his hand, and so I wanted to make sure I had made it fun. So I put the Steelers helmet on the duck, and I made sure that I at least made the Corvette portion of it with my boy Vaughn blowing up Juju and shutting him up for good. I made sure that was the centerpiece. So it was fun. It was something, and then doing it, it was always fun. Like, it was something I looked forward to every night. Like, hey, I got more time to put into this, and it flourished, and it kind of got some legs with some guys that I follow and follow me on Twitter. Like you said, Bangalorian did put it out a bunch. Bengals captain put it out a lot. Dalton Signature, if you know Dalton, out in Washington. These guys who have huge followings got behind it and gave it legs, and it just took off, and it's still running. And it's held as far as prints and things of that nature. It's been a fun adventure with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I I don't I know I already talked to you about it earlier before the podcast, but I paid attention to it a lot, and it may not have been necessarily directly interacting with it, but I've definitely been in the market for one of those prints. They are sweet, and it, like you said, Bengals captain, Bangalorian, Dalton signature. When you see those people go and retweet and retweet and retweet, it's hard not to pay attention. And it was so incredible going and watching the progression of it, because I remember when it started and it was just the outline, and I'm like, how is it that detailed? Because I was at that game, and I actually predicted some Juju stat line, and I'm like, he's going to dance on our logo and then get 3 catches for 15 yards and a fumble. And that's exactly what it was. And seeing you like memorialize that moment in time where everybody knew it happened. It's a Monday night game. Who's not going to see that? And especially with somebody who's going and dancing on other people's logos, I do not respect that man. But you memorializing that and putting it into such a beautiful piece of art was inspiring to so many, including me. And it really, really, really is incredible. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on KB Art on Twitter at Cheeseburger10, CHEZ Burger 10. And it's awesome. But I know you are an artist yourself. Your Twitter is KB Art, and I want to kind of go into the more it, and actually I want to see, can you bring out the piece for us if you have it with you?
Let's see. I believe I do. Stand by.
All right, standing by. And just for white noise for a little bit, it is an amazing piece. Oh, there it is.
So here we go. So I'll try to keep it in there. So we got the score. I wanted to make sure I had the score right. So
Yes.
We had everything is based off the Nintendo game, whether the hits, shot, round. I made it just 24 because Von Bell is obviously 24, but so everything else. So on here is pretty much what you'd see in the game, and then the Von hit is based on I just took a still frame from the video that was played, and then I look at a picture of it and I put it up on my wall. It was on some of my Twitter feeds. You can see my art desk, and you'll see I'll always keep a picture of what I'm drawing above it. So, and then I just put it so I can keep things a little bit symmetrical, if you will. So the helmet's not too big, or it starts looking like a NBA Jam game or something like that, where the heads are huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was fun. So this one, it went well. This one, the actual original is still for sale. I've not sold it yet. So
Wow.
if any followers are ever interested, they can get a hold of me.
Yes.
It is still available. I'll leave these in the back, but as we go. But yes, that was one of the more fun projects I've had. It's not my favorite piece I've ever done, but it's definitely one that I've had a blast doing.
Yes, it is. It truly is a blast of a piece. I love it so much, and I love all the intricate details that you pointed out, like the Steelers helmet on the duck and the score and rounds for 24 for Von, and the game over is just so funny because it's right over the hit, and it was game over after that moment. And I do want to go into the more broader spectrum of your art, because if you haven't seen more of your art, people who listening, check it out. It's incredible. Check it out while you're listening, check it out before or after, but you have to. It's incredible. And I want you to talk about more about how you got into art and how it affects you in your life, and what made you become such an incredible artist.
Sure. So I grew up in I would say near downtown. I grew up in city limits. I did go to a really small private school instead of going to, my parents didn't send me to Cincinnati Public or anything, but So in my class, I had like 25 boys in my class. There's like 56 total students in our class. And I had 25 guys in my class. And of those 25, it was immensely talented human beings that went to school with me. Funny, like I consider myself a halfway decent artist. I'm always critical of my own work. And then I admire others. But in my school, in the small little grade school, I was probably the fourth or fifth best artist in the class. Like I'd never won the like, oh, look, top prize art kid. There was always like, there's a current project I'm doing right now that we can talk about a little later, but like Michael Hurst of Michael Hurst Art, amazing artist. He was in Baltimore for a long time. He's back now in Cincinnati. I'm doing a piece with him currently, but amazing artist. He runs the 21C Museum. If you've never been there, go. It's awesome. It's a museum and a hotel, but awesome artwork down there. Image of all kinds, Jeff All, unbelievable artist, like unbelievable. Just can draw anything you would ever want, like, and does amazing wood art that there's no one that touches his stuff. There's other people. David Butchie is another great artist. Daniel Baer is a great musician and an artist. All these guys that I went to school with, unbelievable, but it was always a competition. Like competition breeds improved talent, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the teachers that actually knew what they were talking about helped us. So helped me. And then I got into high school and it kind of just stopped. Kind of focused a little bit on sports a lot, and decided for my art or whatever you had to do, I was in Glee Club of all things because it was allegedly an easier A, if you will. So I didn't have to really do a whole lot of homework. And me being the lazy jock at the time that I was, I kind of left my paintbrush, left my pencil. I really didn't pick it back up until maybe a year or two out of college. After I graduated at Ohio State, I came back and I was actually in Dallas, Texas, I think, when I picked up a paintbrush again. I was visiting a girl I was dating at the time. She was getting her PhD at Baylor. And I was down there and she had to go to classes, and I went to Michael's. I took her car, I drove to Michael's and bought like 6 canvases and started doing some abstract stuff, and started like, man, this is kind of fun. And just picking it back up. And then, so I did a lot of abstracts at first, with multiple canvases in one piece kind of thing. Had fun with that and came back to Cincinnati, started doing some more, and then started following some people on social media. The Sean Volkers in Cincinnati wise, the Sean Volkers, or the Daniel Tyrrell, excuse me, easy to say, but a British artist who's done some unbelievable stuff as well. But started following these guys, and I'm like, man, I think I could do some of this, and started getting a little better at it. Started posting a little bit more of it. Got my first commission from a Bengals player, and it's taken off a little bit. It's taken off a ton. I mean, I think COVID helped because I was stuck here. Last 2 years has really taken off as far as my work to the public. So it's been a lot of social media pushing, but it's coming up, for lack of a better word, for me. And it's always nice when people appreciate your work, and people like you are having me on to do this stuff. It's cool.
It's truly my pleasure, and your artwork is incredible. And I know you are much like me and many others who do work like this, who go and are very critical but appreciate everybody else. And I am much like you to that degree. And I know you said it's not that painting behind you is not your favorite piece that you've done, but it was a lot of fun. And I know that everybody has their favorite pieces, and it's like you said, competition breeds improvement. And I absolutely agree with you in that philosophy. And I actually want to know, what is your favorite piece that you've done, if you still have it?
So I do not have the piece. I did a piece for a guy in North Carolina. It was a very, probably took me the longest piece I've ever done. It probably took me a good 6 months to make, because I I am not a full-time artist. I do have my day-to-day and stuff work-wise. And it was a 3 foot by 4 foot painting. So it was a huge painting, and I'm very detail oriented. So every little piece to the piece that I did, I painstakingly long on every little piece of it. One, because a guy was paying a lot of money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, because I was taking so much pride in it. And three, there was a lot of hoops that I had to jump through to get through just to be able to do the piece. So I don't know if you've ever seen it. Some people have. It's probably, of my pieces, it's my most famous piece that I've done. It's the Smoking Joe.
Yes.
So that piece is copyrighted. The actual image that I used, because it was a photograph, there's a Pulitzer Prize winning author in Baton Rouge, a guy named Richard. I'm about to say Richard Marx. That's a singer. I'm having a brain fart what his name is right now, but there was a writer in Louisiana who I had to message just to get the access to be able to make something, and it's like an image, even though Joe was in an LSU outfit. So I spoke with him and talked with him for some time about it. And he actually wrote so I live in north of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about where I live and the area. And he's like, oh, that's where Joe Nuxall lives, right? Or did live. I was like, yeah, he lived in Hamilton, right by us. And he's like, oh, I know Kip, his son. He's like, I know that whole family, or Kim. I know the whole family. Yeah, I did an article for them. He's like, you know what? And he's like, you've been so nice to me. I'll give you access to it. So he gave me access to it. Whereas I know he had some issues with there's a Philadelphia painter that did one very kind of like what I did, except he did it in LSU gear. That he did have to go and speak with, and they had some issues, and I had to sign a contract with him as far as the amount of copies that I could make, how much the copies could be sold for, how much the original, how it went and where it went, everything. So I had to sign this and get it notarized, all this stuff, crazy stuff that you wouldn't think of for just doing art, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All these hoops and stuff that I went through to do this piece. So it was in my best interest to give it everything I had. I had fun with it. So I was able to make 6 copies of it. One of the copies went to him down in Louisiana. And then I was able to keep one for myself, which I'll show you here in a second, which is in my boys' room, my 2 oldest boys. It sits in the middle of their room. And then I was able to sell 4 of them, and I sold them, I believe 3 of the 4 were local people, and then another one was out of state of Ohio. But I will show you here in a second. Let me find it, and then I'll grab it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have seen it, and people who haven't, it is, I think it is my second favorite piece outside of obviously there it is. It is an incredible piece. That's awesome. And it for people who are listening on audio, if you haven't seen it, it's Joe Burrow smoking the cigar after the 2020 national championship, but in all Bengals gear on a couch in the Bengals locker room. It is an incredible piece. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You've got to see it. But yes, it is an amazing piece, and that's my second favorite piece outside of the piece that you showed first. But that both of those are truly incredible.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's that one that, at least this copy, that one's gonna stay with me for life. It was hard. Sometimes it's hard to give up your paintings, like the gentleman in North Carolina that purchased it, and it was his idea in the first place. That wasn't even my idea about having one with Joe. He cold messaged me and said, hey, I like your stuff. Would you ever be willing to do a Joe Burrow piece for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, what are you thinking? And we're spitballing back and forth. And that's what I do with a lot of my commissions. I want to know what they think, like, and we'll work together to figure out what the coolest piece that we can make together is, right? So he's like, what about Joe smoking a cigar in Bengals gear? I'm like, I like it. I like it a lot. And I'm trying to think about like the piece, and I'm like, well, what about like, and we ended up selling on like, how about we do it in the Bengals locker room? and we'll put like, you might not be able to see it, but his Mr. Ohio is back there.
Yes.
His Heisman's back there, and the national championship trophy is back there.
Yes.
So the ones that he has won yet, hopefully we'll get a Super Bowl one up back there too. But so I did that, and then I tried to make it model it as close as possible to what that Bengals locker room actually looks like. If they have a brown couch in there or not, but I didn't want to use the actual one that he sat on was black in the LSU, but it wouldn't look right with the Bengals stuff. So it was the first time I've ever tried to paint leather, which was to me, but it took some trial and error, and you figure it out. That's the fun thing is I'm an acrylic artist, so I use acrylic paints. The great thing about acrylic paints is you just paint over it if you don't like it. So after trial and error and working on it for some time, I got it to make it actually look like a leather couch, which I was happy with.
It does. It looks incredible. And I know I'm even seeing it from a distance. I haven't even seen it in person, and I already love it. And I've seen it on Twitter and through this, and I haven't even seen it either in person, but they're awesome. And it's I want to know more about what inspires you to get into your, like, how do you get into the mindset of an artist? Like kind of spitball me what your brain does when you're in that artist mode, and how you express yourself through these pieces that are truly incredible.
So I have a mild form of ADHD, and where my mind constantly goes, like, which drives my wife, it drives her crazy sometimes, because my mind is here, there, and everywhere. But it kind of helps me where I'm constantly thinking of ideas, or my mind constantly goes, what can I do next? What can I do next? And I'm a huge fan. I'm a bigger fan of artwork than I am an artist. So there's a million different artists that have helped me along the way, but they inspire me. Like, I want to do something like this person. Or there's a painter in Bloomington, Indiana. His name, if you don't know who he is, you have to follow his wife, because he got banned from Twitter. But anyway, his name is Pierre Smith. Is painting Manning, is what painting, like Paintin Manning, like Peyton Manning, but without the G. His wife puts out all of his stuff now, Susie, who's awesome as well. But he's out of Bloomington, but his mind is so much. He's got so much talent, and I just watch him and I'm like, man, I want to do stuff like that. He does 3-dimensional art and stuff. So I see stuff like that, and I've talked to Pierre in the past through social media and stuff, and he's helped me. There's a artist in Brooklyn, Blake Jameson. If you don't know Blake, he's crazy good. I mean, he's got hundreds of thousands of followers and stuff. Blake literally has taken me under his wing and talked about how color schemes and things of that nature, and helped me with like these ideas that I think I have in my head, and I share them with Blake, and he helps me get what I'm trying to put towards the canvas. And he explains like simple things like preparing a canvas and stuff that I didn't know, because I got in like 1st through 8th grade art education, right? Everything I've learned just on my own. I don't have anyone saying, oh, this is how you do shading, or this is how you do whatever. I've had other artists help me with that. And like I was telling you, they're just the art community. They're awesome, and they help me, and they've helped me put my ideas to paper or ideas to canvas. But a lot of it I credit to I think I'm a 41-year-old, 10-year-old at heart. Like, I feel I'm a kid. Like, I constantly I just want to have fun with it. It's a great release for me. My day-to-day stuff is sometimes stressful, and I come home and I have my kids. I play with my kids as much as possible until they go to bed. They're still really young. So, and my wife likes to watch shows like The Bachelor, which I can't watch. I can't. Sorry if anyone is a big Bachelorette fan. So it gives me a release. It gives me something. I think everybody has to have a release in life, like whether it be running or lifting weights or whatever, gardening. It can be anything, but you got to have a release. And with me, art does that. I can completely decompress. I can completely just put it out on the canvas in my mind when it normally spins constantly. Like when I'm working on, I can concentrate and look at like whatever it might be, like, and I'm just in that moment. I'm in that line. I'm in that whatever. Whereas a lot of times my head is going everywhere in 50 directions sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And I relate with you there. I also have ADHD, and I've dealt with that throughout my life, and my decompression has been golf. I don't know, this could be a shocker to everybody, but I play golf. But yes, I absolutely understand what you're saying and how it just decompresses and kind of lets everything, like, you get your emotions onto the painting with every stroke, and it's it stuff like that makes pieces like yours, and I keep admiring them in the background, and it makes it so much more emotional and relatable, because a lot of people have that of like, oh, I need the decompression. And then when you understand and you get to know the person and you get to understand what that art means to them, and not only you but them, then it makes it so much more valuable, not even through money, but through emotion and time and effort. And your pieces are truly amazing, and they have kind of made you famous in at least the Bengals Twitter sphere. But
All right.
hey, I wouldn't have met you if it weren't for those two paintings behind, and your other paintings you've shown me, they're incredible too. I can't give you enough credit, and I will continue to try to give you as much credit as I can. But how
I
does it feel? I want you to explain to me, how does it feel being recognized by the big wigs of Bengals Twitter, with like Bengals captain and Dalton signature and the Bangalorian, and I don't want to say me because I'm not up there, not
there.
quite yet, but how does it feel getting the recognition that you truly do deserve?
It's fun because in the heart of this, like with just specifically with the Bengals, it's like it's like a big family, whether it be Zim or Bangalorian or Bengals captain or all these guys, Dalton signature. It's just fun. Like I'm a huge Bengals fan, like huge, like diehard Bengals fan through and through, and like no different than all these other guys. I just have something that I create and I try to share with Bengals fans as well. And I try to make copies of these things so I can share them with other Bengals fans. And these guys are great to me. Like all these guys have done, they didn't have to, and they helped me like get my product out, like, and help me with, I mean, all this stuff. Just a simple retweet can help me like financially wise. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't have to do that, and they don't have to buy my works. And like Bangalorian got a piece, and he's probably going to buy another piece soon. Like it's like very kind of them, and it's fun. I mean, we still like with direct messaging and stuff like that, talking about the draft and all these silly things that like you Bengals fans do. Like, are you Team Soul or you Team Chase? Like, it's just fun. It's just a fun community. It's fun being able to interact with people, especially when COVID was at its worst. We were still able to communicate and have fun and talk about everything. Like, is Joe Burrow's knee going to be all right? Or are we going to get a left tackle? Or is Jonah going to stay at right tackle, left tackle? What's he going to do? Like, it's just fun being able to share this stuff especially when you can't have face-to-face with people. We're getting back to normal now, which is nice, but it's a great community, and it's fun to be able to share and interact and have something people enjoy.
Yeah, it is really awesome. And especially, I don't think I would have met you without all of this. And it's so, I feel so, I don't know what the word is. I'm amazed that I get to interact with so many people who I've had on the podcast before, and then people like you and people I'm hopefully going to have in the future. And I'm hoping to have you on more than once because your work is incredible and you're such an amazing person. And I give all the credit to you for doing everything that you have been able to do. And it is amazing how much you've kind of blown up just because of two pieces. And who knows what would have happened without them. And even if they might just be decompression, they're way more than that to everybody around and even to you. And
Well,
those pieces are incredible. I know I've said it before, but I keep gazing at them and I'm like, oh, I wish I had that piece. But they're gonna stay with you for life, and that's amazing. And I kind of want to transition into Bengals talk because this is a Bengals podcast, and you're wearing your Bengals shirt, and you've got your Bengals, you've got your Bengals paintings, and I've got my Bengals hat. This is one of my two. I'm trying to think how many I have, but this is I think my favorite because it's got the little stripes on the brim. But I want you to give me this. This could be out of the blue and it could catch you off guard, but I want you to give me your hottest take on the Cincinnati Bengals right now.
My hottest take is I think we need to go after David DeCastro because I still think we need help in the interior guard positions and at center. That's my hottest take. And I think we still need help at defensive end as much as I love the guys we have. That would be the hottest take of it. Probably some might not like it. I do like Spain. I do. I don't know how well we are in their interior. Great Barrier Reef and Jonah. I think we're all right on the sides. We'll see with Jackson Carman. I love that he's a local kid. But he's only one part of the interior. There's still 2/3 of it that I question sometimes. So, and I think we have enough skill positions that no one's going to be able to stay with us, but Joe has to be able to throw in an open pocket to be able to make this throws. You look at like Mayfield, he's got one of the best offensive lines in football, and he is a game manager. And he had the best year of his career probably last year. I just hope that we're able to do that with Joe, if we can just kind of get a little bit more help inside. That's my hottest take. That's probably not going to, some might not like, and I'll probably get some negative feedback, but that's where I'm at.
You know what? I'm going to take the hits with you because I like that. I saw that, that David DeCastro got cut, and I'm like, guard, I know we're kind of at a loss for tackle right now, but we need some help. Not saying that I don't like Jackson Carman and Quentin Spain, like you said. I think that they're going to be at least manageable, and that's all really that I want, but we need the depth because we're 2 bad injuries, not even bad, I'd say 2 injuries away from being in deep trouble. And the more depth that we can acquire, especially after, I think I already said, Hakeem Adeniji came down with this torn pec, and who knows what will happen with Riley Reef and Jonah Williams, because Jonah hasn't even played a full season yet. And I know I'm an Alabama person, but God, if you can't stay healthy in the NFL, you're not really going to produce that much. But that I will be right there in the fire with you, sir. But
all right, very good. We got $20 million, right? Still left. I know we got to re-sign Bates, hopefully, but we got $20 million. Like, we got to open up now's the chance. You got Joe on his rookie contract. You have to be active. We can't sit on our hands, and you sit on your hands, you look like the Reds right now with the relief pitching. And it's like you're just bleeding and you can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't spend that $20 million on offensive line or maybe another defensive end. We're just going to bleed. Like, injuries happen in football, right? Just like you said, we're 1 or 2 injuries away from a catastrophe. Like, you might as well use it, right? And NFL, and these contracts, I mean, yes, they'll take a cap hit, but the contracts aren't guaranteed. So I don't know. I'm one to say, let's go, let's break the bank.
Yeah. Hey, I I usually am a guy who is very frugal in my daily life. However, when it comes to something that's not my money, spend those dollar bills. Let's go. You gotta go, especially with like you said and like I said, we are a couple bad injuries away from being in a very dark spot, and I don't want to have that, especially when we have Joe on his rookie contract coming off of a torn, basically a blown up knee. And I know it was kind of a freak accident, kind of came over the top and under at the same time. It was 1 in a million chance. However, we don't want that to happen again. And especially with somebody, it doesn't even have to be a starter. You don't have to get a starter. You just need depth. We have our starters. I feel like we have, if Trey Hopkins is healthy, we have him at center. We have Quentin Spain and Jackson Carman at guard, which I think they're going to do a lot better than what people might be predicting. I know Jackson Carman is kind of a wild card per se right now, but I'm confident, and that might just be the Bengals homer in me, but I'm confident, especially with what he did to protect the number 1 pick in this year's draft. I'm confident in him. And I mean, Riley Reef, amazing tackle. And then we've got Jonah Williams, who shows flashes of greatness in the little games that he's played. He hasn't even played a full season. The sky's the limit right now for this line, but I'm not going to bet my top dollar on just those 5 guys. We need depth. And so especially if you got somebody like Joe on your rookie contract, like you just said. And I hope and pray, my gut feeling is no, but I hope and pray that maybe yes. And I know a lot of people on Twitter were like, don't immediately go and say the Bengals need to sign this guy or that guy now that he's available. And it's like, you know what? I usually agree with you, but right now I'm gonna politely say no, and I think that it would be smart on our part if we got depth. He doesn't have to be a starter. We've got our starters. He doesn't have to be that. He just needs to be a depth piece.
Absolutely. And you look how good the defensive lines are in this division. Like silliness. Like Cleveland is silly. Baltimore is silly. Like you have arguably some of the best defensive lines in all of football, all in one division, right? And then you got the Bengals with like, oh, hey, we might have a guy that has like 6 sacks. But when you have these monsters, Miles, coming at you and stuff, Garrett, like you need as much help as you humanly can get. We don't want a rookie from Kansas that's never played a down of football in his life. All of a sudden, hey, you got Myles Garrett. Yeah, you have superhuman guy here.
Yeah.
Good luck. Have a good day. Yeah. And go. You better get that out within like 1.9 seconds because your head's going to get taken off, right?
Yep.
More depth, the better, like you're saying. Like that, you can never go wrong with depth at offensive line. And like we were talking about before, like competition breeds improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's only going to make these guys better. It's only going to make the Michael Jordans better. Like trying to keep up with Xavier, with Spain, or with even with Jackson Carman. Like, and nothing says that Hopkins his knee's going to be back, right? Nothing. The last I've heard, he may not be back for week 1, which we're going to have to rely on Billy to play center then. So that's always an adventure. As much as I'm a Ohio State homer, I love Billy to death for what he did at Ohio State. He's kind of underproduced, right? So we need help. So let's get some better pieces in there.
Yeah, and even if it's not a full like 3 or 4 year fledged contract, even if it's like a 1 year, hey, if you do good, maybe we have some money for you. Like you said, competition breeds improvement, and that's going to help, especially when we've got some pretty good starters. Quentin Spain, I feel like, is a Pro Bowl lineman who hasn't really gotten the recognition, especially coming in halfway through the season with us and producing. And I I'm not saying that any of these starters are bad, and I'm not saying that they're going to get hurt. I truly do not want that to happen. I want us to have all these guys start and play all 17 games perfectly healthy. However, that's not the reality in the NFL, because there's my dream who I'm going to go to sleep at night with and be like, oh my gosh, I really hope this happens. And then there's reality where people are going to get injured. And then there's going to be times where somebody's going to underproduce, and you're going to need to put that rotational piece in there. And even like you said, with a defensive lineman, I don't know how many sacks the Bengals are going to get, but if you're not at least putting pressure on a quarterback in the AFC North, you will not succeed. If you are giving Lamar Jackson 4 seconds in the backfield to decide, oh, am I going to be a running back this play, or am I going to be a half-ass QB? Like, you can't give him that time. You need him to react like that.
Right.
Or are you going to give Baker the opportunity to actually like dig his back foot into the ground because he throws from his back foot? Or are you going to give Big Ben Roethlisberger the time to plan his nursing home after he eventually gets blown up by like the Ravens or the Browns? Like, it needs to happen now. And I love the Trey Hendrickson pickup. I love the Tyler Shelvin pickup in the draft. I think that those guys, I think in a previous podcast, I compared Tyler Shelvin to Domata Peko. And I think that that's a pretty fair comparison. Hopefully the production comes out of it. But yeah, even if we do get a guy who is going to be, I know we have two endless motors on the end, but even if we get a guy who can replace Geno Atkins and be that guy who's going to get in and get like not cleanup sacks, like straight up sacks, go and blow up the A or B gap and get in there. And I know that's the former football player talking in me, and I used to play defensive line. I might not look the part now, but I sure as hell did when I was playing.
Right.
But we need to get at least, I'd say at least one more guy on both sides to please me. And I know I'm not Emily Parker or Elizabeth Blackburn or Mike Brown. I'm not running the show, but to please myself who isn't involved at all, I feel like we should get one more on at least both sides.
Yeah, it'll be interesting this last month before training camp starts, what they do with like I had previously mentioned, the $20 million that we have in just cap space available. I definitely think Bates has to be locked down for life. The guy's arguably the best free safety in football, right? And we don't have, outside of probably Joe right now. I mean, obviously you never know with Jamar if he can be that way, but he's not the best out there. And Joe has he could have the possibility of getting there, but like Bates there now, like sign him during his great years, right? And keep him here. Maddie, the guy wants to be here. He's from Indiana. I mean, he's not, his family lives close by. You got a guy like that and he's a good player, he's not a train wreck of a human being, like sign him like yesterday. Let's go. Use that. If they're not going to use that cap space money on these free agents that we're talking about for offensive or defensive line, you better sure as heck lock him up. He's the one that we need before anybody else right now to be locked up long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's talked about it in interviews. He's like, I hope that they give me a contract. And we're like, Jesse, we hope so too. You're not the only one. And yes, I absolutely agree with you. If you're not going to do what our lowly suggestions are going to be, I think you need to, I really think it's in the works. I think that they're kind of getting money kind of worked out and whatever, stuff like that. But I absolutely agree with you. That needs to be something that needs to be like on lock right now. Like you said, arguably the best free safety in football. I would say he is. I'd say he's the best safety in football, but people are going to be like, he's not that big, like high play production guy, but it's like, that's not his role. His role is to be a free safety, like a ball hawking free safety who's going to clean up plays if he needs to. And he does that to a T. And you need to sign him. ASAP. And I feel like we're definitely meshing on all of our Bengals
I like
opinions.
thinking here, Garrett. I like it.
Yes, absolutely. And I like the way you're thinking right now. And let me give you one more question on the Bengals side of it. Where do you think, I want to know rankings of offense and defense, where you think they're going to end up at the end of the season?
All right. If we stay healthy, that's a big if.
That's a big if.
Our offense being top 12, I could see us somewhere between 8 and 12, just because playing the likes of, I think their offensive skill players are elite, right? That doesn't mean, that's not putting pen to paper though. You still have to play Cleveland, Baltimore. Steelers going to have a terrible, terrible offense. Like Big Ben's going to die this year. It's going to happen. I mean, Villanueva's gone. Like, who's going to block for him? Am I? Like, they're going to bring in some random guy from like Heinz Field working on maintenance or something, put him on offensive line. Like, their offense is going to be terrible, but their defense is still so legit. I mean, Devin Bush is still going to be there. They still got all these other guys, Minka Fitzpatrick, all these guys on defense. So they're still going to have to play those guys 6 games of the year, right? So 6 out of the 17 games are going to be against these dynamic defenses. So they're still going to have a tough time against those teams. So that's why I'm saying somewhere between 8 and 12 for the offense. If we're looking at it that way. Defense, I'm not as sold on. I like the Hendrickson pickup. I'm not in love with the Hendrickson pickup. I do love his motor. I love high motor guys that are just like, will give you everything. Like, what he has, he gave, and that's it. I mean, he's not going to leave anything else the chance. He's going to give you everything, right? But I don't think we're going to have a huge defensive line. I have my doubts with our defensive line. I like what the pickups they've made on defensive back. I think even though we lost William Jackson, especially with the comments that he's made since then about Cincinnati, it's a little easier to lose him. I've met him before, super nice guy. Was amazing with my kids, but I don't like what you have to say about Cincinnati once you left. You can take yourself and your pig and leave. But I love those pickups they've made with their defensive backs. I mean, our 5th and 6th defensive backs, like Eli Apple might be our 6th corner, like 5th or 6th corner. That's ridiculous. That guy was a 1st-round pick, right? Mm-hmm. So I like their secondary. Love their secondary. Not in love. I mean, linebackers, hopefully they make an improvement. Defensive line, I think we still have room to improve. So I would go defense, I'll say somewhere between 15 and 16 to 22. I'll put it there. I'll say we're probably maybe a slightly back, but when you have an offense, hopefully putting up 40 something points a game, you're allowed to have a defense that's not as good, right?
Yeah. As long as if you've got an offense that's putting up 40 points, just have a defense that allows 39.
There you go.
That's how you win football games. And I feel like it's definitely going to, like, we've all seen it before where it's like bend don't break. You see it with a lot of defenses. I feel like today there are a lot of defenses that are elite, and then there are defenses that are bend don't break. And I feel like we're going to kind of categorize ourselves into those. We have the ability to be a defense that's going to punish you if you're not going to pressure us. However, I don't think that that's how we're built. I definitely think it's more of a, hey, you can put up 39, but we're going to put up 40 on you. And when you've got, like you said, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow at the helm of our offense, and then Auden Tate is a rotational piece. Mm-hmm. He was a borderline starter last year, which, yes, I think he is a very good wide receiver 3, but having him at 4, that's incredible. And I feel like our offense is built to punish defenses, and I feel like our defense is not built the same way. And I really hope that Lou Anarumo can outcoach a couple of offensive coordinators throughout this year and be able to, I don't know if you've gone through, and I had a podcast earlier talking about the season breakdown, and I was talking about a lot of winnable games. And I feel like as long as Lou Anarumo can put up a scheme where, like he did with the Steelers game, the Steelers only put up 17 points on arguably the worst defense last year. If he can put up a scheme with different, I feel like it's a better roster than last year. Some people will argue with me with the unknown factor of the linebackers right now, the who knows defensive line, and then I want to say we have an elite secondary, but in the short part of the field, we're kind of at an unknown, like prove it way. And if we can create a scheme that's going to, how'd you say, use our good parts to their best advantage and force you to use the outside, which I really hope that people like Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard are going to be able to pressure a little bit more, not necessarily get sacks, but just pressure to force them to kind of attack the outside. And then maybe we get more picks than usual. And I'm okay with less sacks and more picks.
I like it.
But
yeah, I think Shelvin, like you were saying before, I think he's just gonna eat up so much space in the inside that it's gonna help those linebackers develop. They're gonna have. Man literally could sit in the A-B gap and not move. He's such a huge human being. Like, he's one of those people, you see him in real life, like you see him 5 foot nothing me, and I'm looking at this person like, oh my gosh, like what do your parents look like? Like, this man huge. He's like 300 and whatever he is, 365 pounds, 6 foot, God knows what. I'm like, holy Moses, like these are these people you're like, how in the world does God make someone this big? Like, he is such a huge human being and he will not move. So if he can stay healthy, that's my only fear with someone that big. Like, there's so much like just weight on his body. Like, if he can stay healthy, I mean, who knows? Like, God love Marcus Hunt, but like, if we don't have to worry about like having a Marcus Hunt or somebody, like some guy we get off the trash heap, if you will, playing interior line, like we'll be all right. It's like every team though. If you stay healthy, then you do a lot better. I mean, on paper, I think we're going to do a lot better than what the people were saying, the Sports Illustrateds, the whoever are saying when they're giving us like 3 wins for a 17-win season. Like, how quickly they forget how good Joe was when he was healthy, and the guy's coming back and he's already not wearing his knee brace at Black Sheep and stuff now. I mean, they're going to be all right.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw the pictures of Tyler Shelvin in stripes, but that man is large.
He barely sat in that throne.
I know.
Barely get in it, right?
That throne is huge. If you saw Joe Mixon sit on it in the New Stripes premiere, and he could almost like sit in it sideways, and you see Tyler Shelvin like bending over on his hands and like with his arms on his knees, and he is like barely fit. Like, it looks like this chair on me right now, and I'm like,
man.
Oh yes, he is. And like you said, having an interior defensive line, who knows about the edge? Maybe like Tyler Shelvin. I'm hoping Joseph Osai really steps up into his own, and I think he will. He's a lot better of a prospect than where we got him. He probably was maybe even, I know this is a hot take, but late first round, especially for people who need it. He was a lot better than where we got him at. And if we can have those rotational pieces on the side, defensive ends, and then we have this monster human being towering over the offensive line and Tyler Shelvin. And then we've got like Cam Sample, Larry Ogunjobi, DJ Reader, another massive human, just whole
people forget about Reader. I mean, Reader was like the big signing last year. Everybody forgets about this dude's good. Like,
he's very good.
I mean, he'll play before Shelvin will, honestly. I mean, and he's top notch, but we got to stay healthy. We can't have everybody walking wounded where we have like one starter that started the year still on the roster when it was like Carl was the last one healthy. So I apologize. I'm using my phone right now. I got text messages coming through at the same time, and apparently the Reds won. So
sorry, yes,
I get on there. So
hey, I will allow that. Actually, yes, I will allow that notification to come through.
Like I said, I'm a huge sports fan, so I get things coming on at the same time.
No, yeah, I got those same things. I got that same MLB notification where it was like Reds win. I think it was 5-3 for people who are listening to this and don't pay attention to Cincinnati sports. If you're listening to this right now and you don't know the Reds won on June 24th, then something's wrong with you. But anyway, so yes, I absolutely agree with you. I feel like, and every time we talk about, oh, the defense is going to be bend, don't break, and then I go through our roster and I'm like, how are we going to be bend, don't break, and how are we not going to clobber offenses? But
yeah, well, proof is in the pudding. We will see in about a month and the weeks thereafter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I before we go, I want to go back to your art a little bit, and I want you to talk about, if you do have more pieces for us, just go and walk through some of them and just say, like, I really want to know, like, being a sort of artist myself. I did band for 9 years, and I kind of, that's how I express myself a little bit. And I want to know how, like, run through some of the pieces with us.
Sure. I will grab some. So I will grab, let's see, how do I want to do this?
Let's go with your best or your 3 most favorite.
Okay. Most favorite. Let's see. Oh boy. So this one is not for sale, and it's never been for sale, and I've had people offer me, and this one is probably like, it means more to me because I don't know. This one might have got me like on the map, if you will.
Yeah.
First started doing stuff. This is my first Burrow piece.
Okay.
The Burrow journey. So if you can see that. So this one, I had his actual one of his high school coaches actually helped me out with like the, if you see on there, there's the Athens scoreboard. That's from the high school.
Mm-hmm.
He actually helped me out with getting out like some of the pictures and stuff like that of how to do it. And then it's amazing how much, like, sometimes you get negative feedback from people. So like the LSU people hate the fact that there's Ohio State stuff here, which he graduated from Ohio State. I'm sorry. Like, that's just, it happened. He's got his undergrad at Ohio State. Right.
Yeah.
And it helped him on his journey, right? It gives him the underdog stuff, like that's made him who he is, right? So I enjoyed this one a lot. I started making this as soon as the Bengals had the first pick. I knew exactly. I mean, we talk about that things going on in your head, like constantly. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? How can I make something? Immediately thought of this, like that would be awesome if I did something to like blend in the 3 helmets. You can see in there's the reflection and stuff, which, if you can see real close on there, you can see the trees. So in Athens, in the football stadium on the other side, there's a bunch of these big trees and there's actual houses.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
In the Athens stadium. So, it's now Joe Burrow Stadium, right?
Yes.
So I tried to make it as realistic as possible. I'm not a realism artist where it's like you look like you're looking at a picture. I'm a little more cartoonish, but I wanted to make it a little like, I don't know. I just wanted to make it look cool. So this one is actually in my bedroom, which like I said, my wife is amazing that she puts up with me, but in her bedroom, we have all these like beautiful things like love, whatever forever, like over our bed. And then I have my art corner, and this one is like prominently there, and it's never gonna leave, and she's gonna hate it for life. But tough. Married to me, she's not going anywhere. So I have that one that I've enjoyed a lot. So, like I mentioned previously, I'm a huge UC basketball fan, like die-hard UC basketball fan. So I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and my oldest brother is significantly older than me. He's like 21 years older than me. So when I was growing up, he used to take me to like all these UC games. He's still a season ticket holder, and he would take me to UC games. So I've always been big. Like I could care less. I went to Ohio State, but I could care less about Ohio State basketball. I was there when Scooney Penn and Michael Redd were in the Final Four, and I'm still wearing my UC stuff for basketball. But this one is in my boys' room. So a lot of my artwork is in my boys. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. So my girls' stuff, I've done like cartoon artwork, like I've done Minnie Mouse and stuff like that, which I don't have any of that here right now. They were already in bed when you and I started talking, so I couldn't get the artwork out of there. But so their rooms have that kind of stuff. But my boys have sports everywhere, and it's a lot of my artwork. And then Blake Jameson, we did a trade off of. I gave him a copy of my Burrow one right here, and then gave me a Kobe Bryant one of his. Like amazing. They have like high dollar like guy stuff in there as well, but they don't know it yet, but they do. But this one is in their room, which my boys, their numbers, a lot of times their favorite number is 11. So they wear 11 all the time because of Gary Clark. So if you're a UC fan, this is the when they were still wearing Under Armour gave them the old school uniform. So they have that. And then if you can see here, Gary actually even got in a picture with me. It's silver. It doesn't come out that great, but Gary actually signed it to my boy, Charlie.
That's awesome.
And he's put the problem on there and stuff. And Gary put that on his social media, which was really cool. But we're huge Gary Clark fans. And so I've made that. That was one of my cool ones. What else do we have? A couple of my lesser known pieces I do have, which I do make magnets of my artwork a lot of times. So This one is probably going to be my next magnet out. So we'll just do this. I think I have. Yeah. So here's the, as you can see, my Von Bell Corvette one.
Yes.
We have that magnet. We have my Ocho Cinco.
Oh, yes.
Which I think I have that piece over there. So I'll show that here in a second. And then I have my Smoking Joe. Do that. My Smoking Joe magnet. But this one, my next magnet that I will be putting out, so I do these magnets. A lot of my pieces are kind of get pricey for regular Bengals fans. Okay. And they would be pricey for me. So I do prints that are usually a little cheaper. Like real artwork it's expensive because it takes time, right? And sometimes people don't understand that when they call you and ask you how much a commission, you're like, well, it's probably looking at it, it'll probably take me 40 man hours. And they're like, okay, well, you want like $50 for it? I'm like, $50? Really? No, like
$1 an hour.
Yeah, right. No, so I'll do prints, like matte prints of a lot of my pieces, but then I'll do magnets. I'm trying to do magnets for a lot cheaper. So we'll do them for under $10. And it gets my work out, and B, it gets like, everybody's a Bengal fan, right? I want everybody to experience and have fun with it. Oh, yeah. So that next magnet is going to be my football journey one. And then most likely it's going to be my, my Joe one here.
I love that.
First down one. So that's available as well if anyone wants a real piece. That one's that's actually sitting next to my art table right now on the ground. And here's the guy who talked a lot of junk. Daddy William Jackson. His pick six with Jordy Nelson's hand in it. But all kidding aside, he was awesome. That was probably 3 or 4 years ago. He like literally took my kids aside, signed the print for my kids, talked with them for a while. He was really awesome with them, so I can't make too much, give him too much grief. So here's the Ocho Cinco one that I was talking to you about.
Yes.
One was fun as well, which let's see if I can get it a little closer. But
That's so detailed. That's
he
awesome.
made that catch in at the it might have been the Superdome or Ford Field, but I think it was against the Lions way back when.
Mm-hmm.
So I have him jumping over the city. I've done a couple of different ones. So I actually did I did a piece for Travion Williams.
Yeah.
Backup running back. Well, hopefully we'll get some carries this year.
Yeah.
If Puka and what is it, Evans don't beat him out. But I did a piece with him where he's flexing in the background and his back, and then I have the cityscape. So I've done the cityscape before in a couple pieces, but I did that one with Ocho. This one was a fun one as well. And I've done prints for a lot of people in that one.
Yes.
Let me tell you about my current piece.
Yes, I want to hear it.
All right. So, like I was saying much earlier, I have some friends in the art community. It's fun to do stuff with people, right? And and see what you can do and have fun with stuff. So Michael Hurst, 21C Museum, unbelievable artist, unbelievable. Sports art isn't always his thing, but he's a huge Bengals fan, like huge Bengals fan. And I keep telling him, like, and he was a huge Dunlap fan. I kept telling him, I'm like, dude, just do one Dunlap. I was trying to get him to do a Dunlap piece, and I almost had him conned into doing one last year, and then he ended up not doing it. But talking with him, I said, what if we did one together? He's like, sign me up. Yeah, I'll do it. Heartbeat. I was like, all right. Mm-hmm. So we've made an agreement that I'm not going to go into too much detail about how we're going to do it, but we're doing a piece right now, which unfortunately, so I coach baseball for my kids, and it's like taking every minute of my days, basically. Like, we're playing 6-7 baseball games a week, and it's killing me. So I haven't been able to get back to this one as much as I would like. But so this is the picture that it's going to be based on.
Oh, so, wow.
That I post pictures like on my wall, and then we're all looking at it. So I'll always do, it's fun. My wife tells me that all I'm doing is over exaggerated Crayola drawings. So I draw my pictures before with a pencil, right? Before I do them. So my wife is like, you just paint between the lines. Like, my wife is my worst critic. Like, she likes to give me crap because she levels me, like, so I don't give it a head, right? So she messes with me and tells me I paint between lines and stuff, but that's how we do it. So I have this picture, and this is like on my wall, and I'll look at this picture, and then I'll try to emulate what I'm seeing there and put it on the paper. So here is what I'm doing right now with Michael Hurst. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about what we're going to do with it, but it's going to be awesome. So
wow.
This picture now, this is my drawing. So I don't have any of my stripes or anything on that, but it's going to be, and I had a vote about, I put it out to Twitter, like, what do you guys want to see? Like, what color combination you want to put out there? So I let Twitter decide. So we'll see it when it's done. We're going to have an orange jersey and black pants with the new Bengals, everything, the new number on. So that's, and you try to make it as close, Ja'Marr Chase's calves are about the size of my head. So it's like, you try to make his calves, and it's like, I want to make them realistic, but then, like, are people going to think, like, why do you make his calves that big? Because his calves are that big. He's got monster calves. And I'm like, okay. So I'll do a lot of times, I'll just do the outline. I can paint the muscle features and stuff like that. I don't need a drawing to help me with that portion of it. So I'll likely do the muscles first, and then the tattoos are interesting. So, like with Gary Clark, these guys that have sleeves, it makes it difficult. Travion was tough because you're trying to see images. Like with Travion, it was a little easier because he was the one buying the piece anyway. But like with this, Ja'Marr isn't buying the piece, and he's not like, hey, here's my tattoo. It's right here. You want to see what it looks like on my tricep? Yeah. They don't do that. So you got to find images of it. Like, so I want to make it as realistic as possible. So I'm going to handle the Ja'Marr part, and Michael Hurst is going to do all the background and do silly stuff on it. And then we're going to make it available to the public. So we're going to do prints, and the original canvas will be up for sale. Everything will be available, and we'll probably end up doing magnets and stuff like that. But it's going to be a really cool piece. I'm really excited about it. I know
I
it doesn't
think
look now, but it's literally, it's one of these pieces where I'm having fun with it because I get to do something with another guy that's just, I feel like is way more creative than I am, that I'll ever be. And I aspire to be like that, but it's just cool. It's just something that, I don't know. This is a cool hobby I have. I love sports. I love doing sports art. And I'm such a Bengals fan that it's like, are all your pieces like Bengals stuff? I swear, like I've done, I did a Hunter Green piece,
mhm.
and it was awesome. Hunter Green put it out on his Instagram page, everything. So I got it set. I gave it to a friend of mine within the Reds front office, and it actually walked away. We'll put it that way. So they were on the Reds caravan, and some random person stole it. Like
Wow.
legit, my piece. So if you're listening, whoever you are that has my Hunter Green piece, if you could return, I would really appreciate it. Um, but I've done Reds players. I've done other ones. I've done some for friends and stuff like that. I've done some artwork for them, like family pictures and stuff like that. I've done, trying to think, I've done some Ohio State stuff for friends, but those are gone. Those pieces are long gone. I've done the Bengals mascot stuff, which I think it's been on my social media stuff a lot. I've done Who Dey. I've done the Mr. Red Legs with I don't know the name of the FC Cincinnati's Tiger guy, but I put them together. I've had that, which actually sells just as well as some of my my more famous stuff because people put it in their kids' playrooms and stuff. So it's
Mhm.
fun, cool being able to do things that people enjoy, and it's it's neat being able to share my passion with people.
Yeah, it's like the more you show me, and I saw a couple of, okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. The Jamar Chase one, you need to knock me up for that right now. I'm going to
Right?
be in line for the first print. That you can
We can
write
make
my
that
name down right now.
It'll be fun. I'm telling you, like Michael is so like his stuff is just it's crazy. I don't know. I'm like I said, some of these guys that I grew up with are like so much more talented than I am, and it's just it'll be fun. And I hopefully in the future I'll be able to connect with other people. There's some art. There's so many good artists out there. Like if you ever like, there's a guy Joe Bello. He does a lot of Carolina Panther stuff. His I think his Twitter is like that Punk Panther. Like such a good dude. Like does everything. Hannah Clayton. She's um she's a UK lady, which drives me crazy, but I can't stand UK. But Hannah's like amazing artist. She's a physical therapist during the day and does art at night. Like so talented, such and so grounded. Like there's so many people. I hopefully people on Twitter can follow these people. Like they're awesome. Like I enjoy it because I'm a huge sports fan, but I also enjoy it because I watch it like to see like what talented people do. Like with like music and stuff. Like things that I could never do. And I'm just sit there and I watch. And like, that's such a cool thing with social media is that we have access to it now and get to see this stuff. It's so fun. And probably, and well, another thing that probably drives my wife crazy is me looking at my phone because I'm just watching everybody else do their thing. It's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I feel blessed just to be able to like experience your artwork, not even in real life, because I would through this, it's still so incredible. Like all the detailing and everything. Like I was admiring that Jamar Chase helmet so much just because like looking at the actual image from the LSU national championship game and then going and looking at the same thing, it's just so incredible. And what you do is I'm going to give you the credit that you're not going to give yourself because I know you've talked about how self-critical you are, but it's truly awesome. It,
Thank
it it's so incredible, and like I said, I need to start signing up for all of these pieces. Like I need a print of everything and I will line my wall of just all of it.
People are gonna wonder about you in Alabama. Like, well,
they're they're gonna be like, where do your loyalties lie? Are you an LSU fan now? And I'm like, hey, I'm a Bengals fan. That's where I'm at. But it's I will it's so incredible just to even be able to have you on, and I want to get this out even if I know you have all the I want to say big wigs going out there and retweeting all your stuff, but like having you on here, it was so incredible. And maybe we could be on for another joint podcast, maybe during or after a game or something like that. And who knows? Who knows where this could go? But
Always happy to talk about Bengals and stuff like that. So anytime you want me on, we'll make it happen.
absolutely. And don't hesitate to hit me up. I'm always open and everything like that. And for people out there who want to talk, I'm always open. And I love having everybody on. I love talking about people with passions like yours, Kevin, and other people's. And it's so incredible. And all your artwork is so incredible. And I will keep hammering that home the whole time. And it's awesome. So I think it's getting a little late. We can go ahead and wrap this episode up. Who knows? There might be a part 2 for sometime at a later date. But yeah, I thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on. And I am really excited about this episode. And thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. And all right. I'm going to sign all of you off. I hope you have a good evening, morning, or afternoon for whenever you're listening. And Hoo Day.